Hello comic fans, here's Al Gray. Despite of all my efforts, I can't get every book that I want every time and everywhere, of course. For instance, I wanted a copy of Birth of the Bed by Simmons for a while now, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And same with this book here, and this is the most important one, or was the most important one for me, Mescan Umezu, the most recent book by Austin English. And at least what I found out is that you can get this from over here only via his distribution service, Domino Books here. So I ordered some books at Domino Books, and when Austin English figured out that this strange guy from Germany with this channel here ordered some stuff, he sent me some books for free on top, which is very nice and kind, and I wrote to him, hey, this feels like fame. This is, by the way, the card that comes with all the stuff. He sent these, the books in these envelopes, and there was some kind of fabric around it, so everything arrived safe and sound and without dings here at my place. So I really can recommend ordering through Domino Books. I mean, the postage is not Austin English's fault, it's just what it is. But because of the postage, that was the reason why I ordered some books more. But for instance, I haven't ordered this one here, and it's actually the 7th iteration of Casanova's Frankenstein's comic book series. You can't really call this comic book because it's bigger and it's printed on some cardstock, thicker stock, almost cardboard. Even the pages are pretty thick here. And it's a silent comic, but not of the ambiguous kind. I mean, it's a mysterious story about this monster slash strange scientist guy, Ted Martin, I suppose. And I really loved this little FU, aka Fantagraphics Underground book by him. What was it called? A Rejects History or something? I read it completely from cover to cover in one of my panellogies, so you can look for Casanova Frankenstein's little mini masterpiece. That was an autobiographic one, and the feeling of being an outsider, that was the foundation for the little book here. This comes through in this book here as well, but this is artist-wise much more refined and coherent, and really a pleasant surprise. And that he did already 6 books before this book without me even notice this makes me a bit angry, and I determined to hunt down at least some of the stuff that came before. So it's, yeah, fantastic book. And I mean, here we have in the inner sleeves or inner covers some reproductions of these strange ads. So fantastic. Was the price of the order almost worth alone. And another book here, but this one I ordered. You can easily get Tommi Musturi's future comic books via his Boeing Being imprint directly from Finland, without or at least with a very little postage from all over the world. But yeah, I was a bit lazy and thought I put this book here just in the order. It's a 2000 AD magazine done by one person, if you want a short summary. Each and every story has a science fiction angle to it, and of course you can see it very colorful, different art styles, all by the same artist. Very remarkable. But now to the main reason why I ordered this bundle here, Mescan and Umezu, or maybe to pronounce it a bit differently, Meskin and umezo. I don't know if this is intentionally or just my interpretation, but for me it would transport some of the main themes within this book here and within Austen English other comics. How it is to be in your skin, to have this body attached, to fill up space, and how it is to interact with others. Are you unity, or do you fragment? Do you split up into several personalities that are different from each other, of course? By the way, for the most part, you can identify his personal wire, the clothes they wear, or their hairdo, or something like this. The faces, not so much. They always change. They are more the very expressive means of transporting their emotional turmoil, if you will. In terms of plot, nothing big happens. The two main characters, Mescan and Umezu, they meet in a restaurant. There's this waiter, and we come to know another pretty smart dude called Wayne over there. Again, very in this deceivingly almost, you could say childish style, but in the best way childish, because a child draws like it feels, and these pictures are very drawn from the perspective how you feel. And I would suggest, if you like Michael D. Forge's comics, give Austen English books a try, because they have a similar logic, a surreal logic, but surreal in a way, that it means something. And of course, you can really disrespect these comics as too artsy-fartsy for you. Well, this is the reason why I love Austen English comics so much, because they are somehow a good blend, a good use of means of modern art and expressionism. And you will find a lot of Willem de Kooning, for instance, and Paul Klee, of course. And if you think, okay, this could do my little child, or I could do this easily, well, good luck if you can come up with fantastic pages like this one here, for instance. And here is maybe you can get what I mean when I mentioned Paul Klee. So this is really a refined, fantastic work here, and I had fun reading this one time, and I will have fun reading this several times, because this is really the stuff that I can linger my eyes on for a long time. So, but I totally get it. When this stuff is not for you, then it's not for you. But I have different stuff here, waiting here, but I want to get through Austen English, because I really love his stuff here. You can see here, this is Christina and Charles, about two young people that don't have anything to do with each other, actually, but there's a cycle of stories around this Christina lady, and you can see here that's much more in the John Porcellino school of minimalism, and even the stories here feel a bit like John Porcellino could have wrote them, but of course they are made up biographies of these two. This is here about Charles, and And I would say, even if Mescan and Umezu maybe is a bit too out there for you, this book here has a lot of charm. My favorite so far, right now I'm not so sure if I like Mescan and Umezu not even a bit more, but my favorite so far was Gula Casual, 5 stories by Austin English. Yeah, collection of short stories by him. This first sequence of pictures doesn't belong into these 5 stories. A New York Story, The Disgusting Room, My Friend Perry, Here I Am, and Freddy's Dead. The Disgusting Room was published before somewhere else, and My Friend Perry and Here I Am, I guess, as well. Anyhow, you can see here he's even rougher and more out there than in Mescan and Umezu. And the first thing that that sticks out here, striking, are these panels with these heavy borders. These are almost boxes, and I guess this is this is the Disgusting Room, and it's about being captured in these tiny apartments and with all these other peoples around, again interacting with others, being recognized, being perceived by others. What does this other human being think of me? And very wild drawing, very wild lettering even, and sometimes you get more, these marks are more for emotion than to be to have some relation to something really that you can decipher. But that's what really makes this stuff here so appealing for me. It has really all the benefits of abstract paintings, that you can make up a lot of the stuff in your own mind. As a little aside, the notion that is prevalent in modern art, that an artist just has to spray some color on a canvas, let's say, and the audience has to finish the painting in their heads. It's just what you make out of this. This works not for me, more often than not. There are some exceptions to the rule, but the idea that a painting is just an empty vessel and I can put myself in it is a bit empty, really. But here with these stories, I don't have the feeling that these stories are empty vessels. No, au contraire. They're really dense, and Austin English has a lot to say here, and he has stuffed a lot of story, interaction, character in these very wild pages here. And even if some of the stuff will stay mysterious to me, I have the feeling that there is at least something that Austin English wanted to say, or it will always stay a secret, or I can come up with different solutions every time I come to this book here. But now let's go to the other stuff that I have here. Maybe the most ridiculous and fun one is Birth or the Bed by Simmons. This is just fantastic, and really you can wonder how he could make this, because this is really just very blunt mock-up of Batman, of course, and even though he's just called the Bat and Alfred is called Albert here, it's clearly a Batman rip-off. But yeah, he runs around with his naked chest and tattoos here the bat symbol on his chest. And we see a lot here that we maybe never wanted to see, like him masturbating to the thoughts of Catwoman, or yeah, a silly fight with some penguin character there. And here, yeah, how was it, the scandal with the bat dong here? I mean, here you get a lot of bat wieners for less money, and of course, and a beautiful, beautiful book here. I don't show you the last page, but it really, this is harsh. This is funny. You should get this book here, and there is the possibility of this thing to be continued. So, Josh Simmons, please do so. Another book that I ordered right off the bat, of course, no pun intended, was here, Boutique Mag number 4 by Mark Bell. This is not a mock-up of a comic, but of these ad magazines. I don't know if you get this, I'm pretty sure. All over the world are these leaflets that will come into your post box, and yeah, if you want them or not. But here it's a little art book, art zine done by Mark Bell. There's nothing that really adds up to some story you see, or if you're familiar with Mark Bell's work, you will recognize some of these characters that pop up here and there. But otherwise, it's really surreal nonsense. A little fashion part here in the middle. I wonder if Mark Bell himself drew these or his kids. I don't know. And yeah, the texts really add up to nothing. It's a bit of a waste of time to try to read these, at least, or maybe I'm not intelligent enough to understand them. But Mark Bell is always nice, always fun. Your brain will rot. Of course, of course. And another book by one creator that I was really curious about is this one, Mr. Incompleto by Josh Bayer. And he explains the concept of the book here in the beginning. This is Josh Bayer in some future, and as a comic in a comic that is made to be a comic in a comic, because in his other series, Theth, or however you pronounce this, there's the character, I guess, Theth, I don't know about this comic, who reads a comic. And it's this one here. Maybe this is the page. Here you can see it. So, Citrat, aka John Angelo, maybe this is something for your interest here. And now we're in this world where some kind of time agent has to repair the timeline because some guy is loose in the past where he doesn't belong, and you know this trope or kind of a story, and quite honestly the story here is really not that interesting, and much too many words for this kind of story, I feel. But look at the art here. And this is really the thing that pulls you through these pages. Impressionistic, I would call it. He has a very own way of using the colors here. Very bubblegummy, Bazooka Joe-ish colors, or Bazooka Joe colors. He obviously draws pretty quick, not to say hastily, but it's not sloppy. I think his method is very fitting, not just to get a lot of pages done in a small amount of time, I assume at least, but just to, as a means to more surreal approach to let his inner conscious take over and do wild stuff without questioning himself too much. And it's beautiful. Look at these textures and yeah, great stuff. Now I think I have to hunt down the other book, Theth, Theth, for which this book here actually was made. Now to this one here, stapled together Xerox copies, My Geometric Family. It's really the most basic but very functional way to do a comic. And what makes this one here very charming is that this is an autobiography of Austen English's mother. And I mean, it doesn't work too well as a real comic because these are the arbitrary stations of one's life that, yeah, our lives usually don't add up to some kind of coherent movie plot, and it's not different with her here. But she has a very charming style, and as I said it, yeah, the idea that now she's distributed by her son, yeah, is really heartwarming, I feel. Next in line is Service Industry by one T. Edward Buck, and again we have amazing production qualities, oversized book here, cardboard stock, good printing. It was published by Bodega Distribution originally. This book is from 2007, so it dates a while back. So it's high time that Mr. Buck gets a bit of recognition for his work. But he makes it unnecessarily difficult for him and for us to read his stuff because the intro sequence is not the best part in the comic here, to say the least. A lot of info dump about some not so exciting event in his past and the relationship to his parents and so on. Almost a summary of stuff that I don't really like too much usually in autobiographic comics. Why should I care about this guy when I know him just for 4 or 5 panels? But then the stuff here becomes interesting in terms of the story and the artwork and the layout. And it's really interesting. He works in a pizza restaurant as a waiter and dishwasher, but has these vivid fantasies. And so this book here asks a lot of the right questions, and even if the end is maybe not the strongest part of this book here, but it has a lot of good stuff in the middle. And so I really like this book here. I think I really can't even remember if I have ordered this from Austen or if he gifted this to me as well. Don't know. But now we come to stuff that... Oh, this one here. This actually wasn't sent to me by Domino Books, but I seen The Domesticated Afterlife by Scott Finch in their catalog as well. The thing with this book here is that Scott Finch sent this book here to me as a gift to make a review or however. And this is interesting. It's very interesting. It's about Afterlife. Okay, I thought all these anthropomorphic characters are in some kind of nirvana, but there's actually in some kind of very hierarchic dictatorship or system in which the chicken are the overlords and the cats are beneath them, and everyone's slaves, so to speak, are the dogs. And it's very surreal. It's a lot of stuff is going on, and that's a very short summary. But you should check this out here. It's very interesting. Interesting format as well, of course. And a good example what you can do with self-publishing. I mean, this is really a tome here, and it's a good chunk. And I haven't read it from cover to cover yet, to be honest with you. But it's just not because it's bad. It's great, but it's really a bit of a work to interpret and to figure your own way through this surreal yet dense story. And yeah, very interesting stuff here. And now we come to a lot of interesting in some way is the word for this book here. Francis Bacon from E.A. Bethia, and advance praise for Francis Bacon. It's better than having your tonsils removed. Yeah, for sure. And I really love the lineup here. E.A. Bethia himself, and he says that he looks a bit, well, people think that he looks a bit like the painter Francis Bacon over there. My dad, Mike Hammer. I mean, you can't go wrong with this kind of lineup. If I really care too much for this kind of storytelling with pictures and lots of text, I honestly can't say because I have just read some pages and then I thought how I have to look for the other stuff that was in my package here. And if I'm not mistaken, okay, this I had before, like the Gula Casual and Christine and Charles. These were books that I had before. I guess I ordered this by Split and a Half. I mean, it's pretty safe to say that you get a lot of the stuff that you can get from Domino Books, from John Porcellino's distribution service, Split and a Half as well. They are befriended, obviously. I will come to that later, and have the same interest and to get the independent, undergroundy, self-published stuff out into the world. So here's a little. This is more an art catalog by one Marlene Frontera. There's some kind of double pager that she did with Austen English together. So she seems to be some kind of collaborateur to Austen English here. And yeah, maybe start with this issue. But is it comic art? Is Austen English's cheapo version, if you will, of the Comics Journal? I mean, cheapo just in terms of the production, because this is really the thinnest paper you can imagine here. But the content is absolutely not cheap. It's very interesting, and there's, of course, the benefit. The cheap paper is the basis that you can get more than 80 pages of very interesting content. On the cover here you see the heads that were chopped off of some comic creators that are maybe not the favorites of Austen English and his team. Inside we find a lot of interesting reading material. For instance, the interview with Mary Fleener. Many pages here. And what's else? A comic by Matthew Thurber, a memoir about his days working for Picture Box. And the story is a bit spotty, and but it's pretty interesting to figure out about the characters of colleagues in the little comic bubble that pop up and fade out again. And Victor Cairo has one of his very interesting one-pagers here. Compulsive, dense, as always. Compulsively dense. So what else have I marked? Here, yeah. This is a very interesting interview or dialogue with John Porcellino about distribution, the underground way, or distribution of these little zines and self-published stuff here. And this is really interesting because yeah, they're really colleagues here. Austin English published here his King Cat Comics fan club passport. So that was a nice interview, and we have a comic in the back and a brief interview with another great cartoonist, E.S. Glenn. Last but not least, we have two vessels for wild comics here. This one here is called Tinfoil Comics. It took a while until I figured out how the title actually is, and you will see the art within is pretty wild as well. And this here really takes no prisoners as well. This is Jaywalk Comics, should that be. And it's a wild collage of different styles, of different artists, but with a lot of surprising pages like this one here. I mean, the 70s and the hippies are not dead until we get all these druggish fantasies about flowery meadows, which we can rest our weary heads. And Tinfoil Comics was even more interesting because it's so dense and compulsively filled with beautiful art. I mean, of course, this art here would deserve better printing, but if you have to choose that this can be published in this way or in no way at all, you will choose this way, I guess. And here's a double page that Austin English created with that Marlene character that I forgot about, who did this art catalog thing there. So this has a bit of both of them here. The art and comics in this Tinfoil magazine reminded me a bit of these booklets of CDs, and when the bands put in their lyrics in a very wild and almost unreadable fashion, together with some very idiosyncratic art here. And this is idiosyncratic as you can be, I guess. Okay, there's again our Austin English piece. Anyhow, I guess this was a wild variety of wild stuff, and stay wild, my friends. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.